Okay, so I'm gonna talk about Blizzard discussing lawsuits. Anyway, so I'm just gonna give a little lecture here. So Blizzard Blizzard wants to be a 2020s gotcha MMO. So a gacha MMO has unlimited microtransaction, let's say 2 forms of cash shop, and they operate with like 1 billion users. And if they get sued, well, it's terrible. You'd never want to get sued. My server wants to be a 2000s golden era MMO. And 2000's golden era MMO in the user's manual, it tells how to have timeless adventures and make unforgettable memories. So like the user's purpose is to have timeless adventures and make unforgettable memories. And that's what you did with the 2000's MMO. Like little cherished memories and stuff. So those are I like to say Blizzard is like McDonald's. Turtle WoW is like a gay bar. And Wallcraft is like a family pizzeria. The reason I call Blizzard McDonald's is because they sell absolute slop. That's never going to be yummy. Soybean oil never belongs in human food, okay? It's a big travesty. The Blizzard people are all deluded, okay? Anyway. So, you don't have undesirables. You know what's pretty crazy? Is if Baron Rivendare goes under the map, the server crashes. Isn't that crazy? Don't do that. I can crash a server pretty easily, but it's not very interesting. Anyway, let me just tell you something. If I had to summarize how people think, well, first of all, everybody's fighting to play the war within. Everyone's looking at 2020's gotcha, and if anybody was discussing my server, you can bet that they would be talking about the golden era of 2000's MMOs. First of all, the golden era had one realm for 2000 users. And it goes without saying that you didn't have... it goes without saying you didn't have a ton of Chinese, okay? Not on today's servers. You have 8,000 every, anyway, so... You know what? If you're playing on American realms, it's way too slow to be acceptable for Chinese. Okay, if players were to have 300 ping, they would say this is unacceptable. We need to change something. So Chinese gold farmers, it doesn't belong on an American vanilla server. But there's other things. If you have one realm for 8,000 users, good luck getting Lotus. Okay, better not expect Lotus because that's rude. But on my server, I keep out undesirables. It's a totally different way of thinking. Okay, you let the cool people in, you ban bots. Okay, you let cool people in, you ban cheaters. On my server, I only let Chads in. So, what am I trying to achieve? my highest ideal is maximum player freedom. Maximum player freedom. So if you have to make a choice, you pick the one that gives them more freedom. Okay, because our vision is a 2000s MMO. And on a 2000s MMO, it was I'm going to patent this, I'm going to make a trademark. It was user freedom. Okay? The 2000s MMOs had user freedom. So, as a matter of fact, I'm really close to banning anyone with an active Blizzard sub. Okay, if I had to make a choice, I'd rather take Eastern Euros, who yearn for user freedom, over Blizzard pay pigs. So I set a limit of 64 playable factions and no microtransactions. Okay? My vision is a 2000s MMO, and that had no cash shop, no gacha, and everyone earned from raiding everything that they needed. So, here's what I want to say. All MMO players today have been Jedi mind tricked. They obsess on, if there's one thing that they all want to show you that they know, is client version. Everyone's obsessed with client version. Well, guess what? Client version goes both ways. You can get newer, or you can get older. What happens if you look in the other direction? You scale down. Hey, everybody knows that it doesn't get bad. It gets worse when you scale up. Well, guess what? It doesn't just get better. I don't have a word, but it doesn't just get better when you scale vanilla up. So guess what? A dungeon finder? I don't have a dungeon finder on my server. I just, you know how when you do LFM, I don't know, BRD in world chat, and it forms a group? That's kind of how we operate. Okay, we hit world chat and we don't have a dungeon finder. Okay, we don't have a group finder add-on. You want to know what's funny? You want to see how I edit in M2? This is hilarious. Here, you want to see me do a Murloc? Okay. Here, this is a Murloc. See, I just edited 40,000 lines of code. And I just wrote from scratch the entire Murloc M2. Okay, this script is 10,000 lines. This is, I don't know, 20,000 lines, 30,000 lines, so 40,000 lines. And anyway, that's all the code there is. It's just in time. It gets read, it gets written, and in between those two steps it gets edited. So anyway, everyone else has been Jedi mind tricked into thinking that they need Blizzard utilities to do it. Yeah, this is funny. It's when I tell people I set a 2,000 player goal, okay, there's a call to join war mode. Okay, there's a war mode feature which is high risk PvP, and my server is heavily focused on world PvP. Okay, but I purposely include a high-risk PvP mode. This mode is not... There's not an alternative game mode with war mode. And it's because you should be playing. Should be playing War Mode. And that's because real men play War Mode. This game mode is fun, and it's what everyone's looking forward to. So, anyway, it's, when I tell people I'm aiming for, like, 2,000 players on launch, you know what they're thinking? In their mind, they've been Jedi mind-tricked. Bobby Kotick is so stupid. He said 6 million was enough. I say, yeah, I don't think so. We know it's never enough. I mean, these are obviously not the sharpest knives in the drawer, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is enough? That's the difference between sheep and shepherds. Blizzard is like McDonald's, okay? It's total slop. So yeah, there's... I kinda laugh at people. Imagine it's 2005. Imagine a hotshot developer named Afra Siabi making fun of Chris Metzen. And him saying, you know, I'm better than Metzen. I'm better than Metzen. I know breast milk. And you're like saying, dude, you're no Metzen. Anyway, so there's a lot of people who are really arrogant. And, you know, like pink-haired devs. And what are there, like 2,000 freaks at Blizzard? Okay? Not one of them is famous, because not one of them has done anything original. Yet a lot of them are walking around like they're in the same league as Metzen. No, there's a difference. Okay, when you're following a trail, you are not a trailblazer. So, you know what's funny? Let's just say, import Pajits. Let's just say we're hiring at Blizzard. And let's say we're making a new expansion. Let's say we need cheap coders. And we're waiting on a new batch of H-1Bs. And if they're not willing to work for slave wages, you deport. And then they yield. Okay, so let's do an analysis of this, okay? So first of all, importing H-1Bs, just a rule of thumb, ruins your company in 1 microsecond. Okay, import and ruin in 1 microsecond. Smart is where you hire real gamers and employ real gamers. Blizzard has a large overhead for hiring employees. Okay? They have to hire 1,000 new art school students every time they make a new expansion, because all the previous ones quit or were fired for sexual harassment. Okay? So this is gonna blow people's minds. Okay? I don't have to hire anyone. And I don't sexually harass anyone. Okay? Now, anytime you grab milk out of the fridge at work and it isn't yours, you should probably assume you shouldn't be drinking it. This is going to blow people's minds. This is hilarious. You want to know how many updates I can do per day? I can do 40 updates each day. Okay, I can do updates faster than Blizzard can service GM tickets. Oh, you want to see me do it? Alright. Let's see this. Okay, so here's my spell template. We're just going to do the database because I'm making a video as we speak. So let's go ahead and say we need to update the flags for Priest Resurrect to match the other resurrection spells to be cast in combat. So all we have to do is go up here. Okay, so we're going to look at the flags in the attribute. And this is the rank we're looking for. And for the flags here, we're going to just want 65536, which is no sheath, which is the highest build version for this version 1. Okay. And that's that simple. Wow, update. Okay, so let's do some analysis. I can do Okay, so let's first off let's talk about Wallcraft. Okay? Let's talk about Wallcraft. Okay, my vision is a 2000s MMO. And what do I mean by that? Blizzard and everybody that's a Blizzard shill would move heaven and earth to swipe 2 cards at once. They're full of pride. It's like Russians. It's okay. Blizzard spent millions to make classic WoW. Russians used V-Mangoes. That's kind of the foolishness. That's a fable, and it's not a true fable. And it's not necessarily something to be proud of. I call my server true gaming. Well, microtransactions are not true gaming. Wallcraft has no cash shop. Anyway, so this is the server process. This is the main process. There's one, let's call it Mango's process, and Realm D is the first server, and Mango's is the second. Anyway, the Mango's process, anyway, I have 2 processes, and I guess you'd call them the server, plus SQL server and an Apache server. So, on my Mango's process, this is the main console, and anyway, here are some of the outputs that you normally see, and anyway, I have my Realm D process. So, on a typical, let's say you're playing vanilla. That's what this is for, playing vanilla, like the Golden Era. And what are you going to do? Maybe run a dungeon or a battleground? Basically, you're going to kill something. And it might even be the same faction as you. Wallcraft, there's layers of abstraction for how you're treated in the game world. And there's not a distinction between friend and enemy. You can go to war with your own faction. You can even join factions that are normally hostile to you. And some people are gonna say that's, some people, they're gonna say it's these little brainwashed Blizzard shills who couldn't. It's medicine being mocked by someone who pays for cosmetics. You know what I'm saying? If you bought it out of a cash shop, whatever. So I adapt to a new reality. They're all playing the war within, paying for absolute slop. I don't know why, and they're mocking me. So let's analyze this. If we have 5 players in a group. And we do round-robin loot. I don't master loot, okay? So, is it because I can't master loot? No, it's because an idiot admires complexity. A genius admires simplicity. A true gamer tries to make it simple. He leaves it to luck. Anyway, an idiot, anything the more complicated it is, the more he will admire it. Personalized loot. Everybody gets their own loot chest. That's how they do it in retail. Okay? They try to make it so complicated that you think that they think and you think they're geniuses. Okay, anyway, so if I have 5 group members, and let's say one of them, well, long story short, when you're waiting for a group member, they don't get there until, well, I forgot how it works, but, well, anyway, we're waiting for a group member. You just use the meeting stone. Now, when you play other servers and you click Group Finder, you just get a random group of people, and you're instantly teleported to the dungeon. And if one isn't ready, you have to swap them in and remake the group, and it's going to take 5 times longer than actually running to the dungeon with enough people to summon the ones who were idle. So, what if you have 100 people? Summoning them is going to be a serious problem, okay? Normally, in default vanilla. But I'm making a 2000s MMO. So I don't do a group finder, okay? So if your task is to gather 100 people for a world boss, you probably should bring some warlocks, okay? My vision is a single, unified vanilla WoW. Okay, I'm not trying to run retail slop through Wallcraft. You know, I don't care. Anyway, so, another thing is PvP. This is kind of hilarious. This is going to shock you. I think this is going to make people shocked. You know, Blizzard, the other day, they mentioned that World PvP was overrated. Well, I'm not going to show you, but long story short, my plan is perpetual guild-based world PvP. What that means is that your guilds and factions can take control of entire zones. And when you want to control that zone, you go and capture their base. Okay, so for like example, if I have 40 zones and each provides a unique array of benefits for controlling the zone, you can capture the zone and control it, which allows you to acquire these benefits. If the admins of a server decided to split PvP and PvE between 2 realms, you're getting half the population engaging in half the content. Okay, and that's just not acceptable. Okay, so if you want to do PvP, Wallcraft is the only one that does PvP effectively. Blizzard will probably run... Blizzard will proudly run 200 realms faster. Wallcraft runs 1 realm faster. Wallcraft can only run 1 realm faster. And Blizzard can run 200 realms faster. They're geniuses. So anyway, how about that? So everything gets smaller, or gets better. It doesn't just get bad when you scale Wrath down to vanilla, it gets worse. It doesn't just get better when you scale vanilla up, it gets better. Code bases. If you have... We can look at my code base. Okay, so this is my whole solution file. Okay, it's getting up there. It's... What is the line number? I'm in the editor. I'm not. I'm spacing out. Okay, I swear. Why isn't it showing it? Anyway, so this is my whole solution file. If you keep it small, you only need one solution file. I know somebody's gonna contradict me. Okay, so when it gets big, you have to adapt and change your way of programming. Now, see, my estimate is like 100,000. Okay. Now, Blizzard's is very proud that theirs is 6 million. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe like 200, 300. They're trying to make it bigger to intimidate people or something. Anyway, if it's small, they can't use it for, like global control. There are arrogant people. Let's say you're making a micronation. Okay, you're one of them, and you're making a new nation. It's a couple. Where are we at? 144,000 people. Okay, that's what's showing up. Alright, so 144,000 people. Is genocide the right or wrong answer for this situation? Okay, there's a lot of people out there who will say, "Oh, it was theirs 2,000 years ago. You're not a good person if you don't give them what they want." Yeah, we all started somewhere. Nobody knows what Tikkun Olam is. Nobody knows what their third temple is. They've all been so confused by liberals trying to impose open borders on us. I don't understand how we have open borders, but they don't. They're making it so nobody has any clue what goes on. It's a pay pig funding Bobby's trips to the island, and they're making it worse. Okay? Just man up and install a 1.12 client for free. Okay? I like Grender because he likes Python and he doesn't like C++. I like C++, but I'm impressed by industry, not academia. Anyway, in industry and academia, if it's good, in industry, if it's good, you keep it a secret. Anyway, so I don't actually like that attitude. Anyway, so private servers are the right answer. Now the question is long queue times. If you scale down RAF, the answer is going to be queue times and population cap. So I've been experimenting with increasing total player counts. Okay? And I want everyone to like get their head around it. Like 2000s gaming. I'm trying to make 2000s MMOs are delightful. There's just something very nice about 2000s MMOs. I've never tried playing newer slop. It's like, wow, look at that. Isn't that cool? Anyway, so that's that.